Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our YouTube channel, Mazz Reporter. Here's a quick roundup of today's top trending news for January 29th, 2026, as the day unfolds across time zones. Top trending news today from the United Kingdom. Keir Starmer's historic meeting with Xi Jinping in Beijing. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer met Chinese President Xi Jinping today in a bid to reset and deepen UK-China relations after years of tension. This is the first UK prime ministerial visit to China in 8 years. Starmer emphasized the need for a long-term, consistent, and comprehensive strategic partnership amid challenging times for the world, focusing on global stability, climate change, trade opportunities, and economic growth for British businesses. Neuralink success in UK. Sebastian Gomez Pina, one of the first UK participants in the Neuralink brain chip trial, has described the device as magical for its potential to restore independence to those with paralysis. As of January 2026, he has described the brain-computer interface, BCI, as magical for the sense of hope and autonomy it provides. UK automotive industry struggles. The Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders, SMMT, reported a tough 2025 for UK vehicle production, down 15.5% overall to 764,715 units. Car output fell 8%, while commercial vehicles dropped sharply by 62.3% due to factors like cyber incidents, tariffs, plant consolidations, and the shift to decarbonization. Industry leaders expressed doubts about Labour's target to reach 1.3 million vehicles annually by 2035 without a major new factory, though EV production showed some positive signs, nearly 42% of output. Ongoing weather impacts from Storm Chandra. Recent heavy rain and storms, including Storm Chandra, continue to affect parts of the UK, with yellow warnings in the southwest and footage of huge waves along the coast. Met Office forecasts indicate more rain in the coming days, though hints of a potential pattern change later. New UK school behavior rules. The UK government is implementing new guidance for 2025-26, requiring suspended pupils to remain in school under supervision rather than being sent home, aiming to minimize learning disruption and reduce unsupervised time online. AI Growth Zone in Scotland. Lanarkshire has been named the next AI Growth Zone, a move expected to create over 3,400 high-value jobs as part of the UK's modern industrial strategy.
Other notable news. Continued discussions on post-Brexit rule alignments, food and agriculture standards, and calls for transition periods to avoid business costs. Technology Secretary Liz Kendall joined Sky News to talk about the government's free artificial intelligence training in workplaces. Liz Kendall tells Sophie Ridge that, if we want AI to work for Britain, we need Britons who can work with AI. Catherine West is a Labour MP for Hornsey and Friern Barnet who was recently appointed as the UK's trade envoy to Pakistan. The appointment was announced by the Secretary of State for Business and Trade on January 20th, 2026.
Top trending news today from Europe. Ukraine peace talks and new military threats. President Volodymyr Zelensky warned that Russia is planning a massive strike to discredit upcoming peace negotiations scheduled for Sunday in Abu Dhabi. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio noted that resolving the status of the Donetsk region remains the primary hurdle in these talks. EU energy shift and gas exemptions. The European Commission is finalizing a plan to ban all Russian gas imports by late 2027. To ensure security of supply, a new draft document suggests exempting gas from the US, Qatar, Norway, and Britain from certain extra regulatory checks, strategic autonomy, and Greenland dispute. French President Emmanuel Macron described the ongoing standoff with the US over Greenland as a strategic wake-up call for European sovereignty. Concurrently, EU High Representative Kaja Kallas urged for more autonomous European military capabilities to maintain NATO's strength. India-EU trade deal sparks US backlash. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has harshly criticized the European Union's newly signed free trade agreement with India, dubbed the mother of all deals. Bessent accused Europe of funding the war against itself by importing refined products made from sanctioned Russian oil through India. New strategic partnership with Vietnam. European Council President Antonio Costa signed a joint statement in Hanoi today upgrading relations between the EU and Vietnam to a comprehensive strategic partnership. Reform of air passenger rights. The European Parliament has appointed a delegation to a conciliation committee to break the deadlock on reforming passenger rights, which have not been updated since 2004. Foreign Affairs Council. EU foreign ministers are meeting today in Brussels to discuss Russian aggression, the Middle East situation, and a working lunch with the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights.
Other notable news. Investor Fest London. A major startup summit is taking place at Hungry House in London, connecting European founders with top venture capital firms. Global Revenue Forum. Industry leaders are gathered in Stockholm today to discuss innovations in revenue management. Theatrical premieres. The Hunger Games on Stage continues its run at the Troubadour Canary Wharf Theatre in London, alongside Cirque du Soleil's OVO at the Royal Albert Hall.
Top trending news today from the Americas. Minneapolis crisis and ICE protests. Tensions remain high in Minneapolis after federal agents fatally shot intensive care nurse Alex Preety. The agents involved have been placed on leave, and President Trump has promised to de-escalate Republican support for the crackdown waivers. Attack on Ilhan Omar. Representative Ilhan Omar was sprayed with an unidentified liquid, reported by her office as apple cider vinegar, at a Minneapolis town hall. She remained defiant, stating, "Fear and intimidation doesn't work on me." Economy and interest rates. The U.S. Federal Reserve held interest rates steady despite significant pressure from the Trump administration. Meanwhile, gold and silver prices are surging amidst the political turmoil. Winter storm deaths. A powerful winter storm has killed dozens across the U.S., including 3 young brothers in Texas who fell through an icy pond. Colombia plane crash. A small plane crashed in Norte de Santander, killing all 15 people on board, including a high-ranking politician. Ecuador consulate dispute. The Ecuadorian government filed a complaint after an ICE agent attempted to enter its Minneapolis consulate during the ongoing immigration raids. Honduras president elected. Conservative politician and businessman Nasri Tito Asfura was officially sworn in as president of Honduras on 27 January 2026 for a 4-year term. The ceremony took place in the Honduran Congress in Tegucigalpa. Honduras is a Central American country with Caribbean Sea coastlines to the north and the Pacific Ocean to the south.
Other notable news. Tech sector shakeups. Tesla. Elon Musk announced the discontinuation of Model S and X vehicles as the company pivots focus entirely to robotics. Amazon. The company confirmed 16,000 job cuts following an accidental internal email leak.
Top trending news today from the South Asia. Bangladesh-Pakistan flights. Direct flights between Dhaka and Karachi resumed today, January 29th, after a 10-year suspension, signaling a significant shift in bilateral relations. India-Pakistan maritime tensions. India has unveiled a new hypersonic weapon system as a deterrent against increasing Chinese and Pakistani naval activity in the Indian Ocean. Nipah virus update. Health authorities have declared the Nipah virus outbreak in West Bengal contained, though airports in Thailand and Nepal remain on high alert. Pakistan has enforced strict border screening, mandating 100% checks and 21-day travel history declarations, citing the virus's high fatality rate, 40, 75%, and human-to-human transmission risk. T20 World Cup 2026. Fiasco. Ongoing controversy surrounds the International Cricket Council's (ICC) decision to replace Bangladesh with Scotland in the upcoming tournament.
Other notable news. Aviation forecast. Boeing released a report today stating South Asian airlines will require nearly 3,300 new airplanes to meet regional demand. Amnesty International webinar. A major South Asia human rights webinar is scheduled for today, focusing on Afghan refugee repatriation and garment worker rights across the region.
Top trending news today from the Western Pacific region. ASEAN foreign ministers retreat. Philippines. Foreign ministers from Southeast Asia are meeting in Cebu, Philippines, to address critical regional issues, including the escalating civil war in Myanmar and ongoing tensions in the South China Sea, setting the agenda under the Philippines' 2026 chairship. South China Sea and U.S.-China military tensions. Following a high-profile purge of China's military leadership, reports suggest the U.S. has lost key contacts in the People's Liberation Army, PLA. Concurrently, a U.S. think tank warned that American fuel and munitions reserves are at risk in a potential Pacific conflict with China. Japan snowfall warning. Japan's weather agency has warned of heavy, disruptive snowfall along the Sea of Japan coast and parts of the Pacific coast, including Tokyo, with up to 70 centimeters of snow expected in the Hokuriku region through Friday. Microplastics crisis in Pacific fisheries. A study published on 29 January 2026 revealed that nearly one-third of fish sampled in the waters of Pacific Island nations, Fiji, Tonga, Tuvalu, Vanuatu, contain microplastics, with 75% of samples in Fiji affected. New Zealand scraps worker pathways. The New Zealand government has officially scrapped new migration pathways for Pacific workers, creating significant shifts in regional labor mobility. Philippines' economic outlook. Amidst flood control controversies, economic managers in the Philippines have cut the 2026 growth target to 5 to 6%, despite a 10 billion peso investment for upcoming APEC meetings.
Other notable news. Public health alert. A surge in influenza-like illness, ILI, and RSV has been reported in the Yap State, Federated States of Micronesia, with 938 cases reported by 23 January 2026. Cultural trends. Reggae band UB40 is launching a Pacific tour in Tonga following performances in New Zealand and Australia. Asian tech stocks continue January surge. Regional markets rallied with gains in South Korean tech. Taiwan stock index up significantly, while gold and silver hit record highs amid geopolitical tension. Aid cuts felt across Pacific. Australian and regional charities report that cuts to foreign aid linked to policy shifts have forced reductions in education, food, and health programs, leading to urgent humanitarian impacts.
Top trending news today from the Eastern Mediterranean region. U.S.-Iran tensions escalate. The U.S. has intensified a military buildup off Iran with the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group in the Arabian Sea, raising concerns of imminent strikes. Turkey has warned against further conflict, with its foreign minister urging against another war in the region. Syria-Russia ties restored. Russian President Vladimir Putin met with Syrian counterpart Ahmed al-Shara in the Kremlin on John the 28th, discussing a remarkable progress in restoring ties and enhancing economic, military, and strategic cooperation. Minor earthquake activity in the Eastern Mediterranean. A weak magnitude 2.8 earthquake, unconfirmed, struck in the Eastern Mediterranean Sea, about 35 km west of Sidon, Lebanon, early today, around 06:34 local time. It occurred at 21-kilometer depth with no reported damage or injuries. Similar low-magnitude events were noted near Crete, Greece. Broader global seismic reports indicate moderate activity worldwide, but nothing major in the region today. Deadly migrant shipwrecks. Hundreds of people are feared dead or missing following multiple shipwrecks in the Mediterranean over the past 10 days, with the UN Migration Agency reporting it as the deadliest migration corridor. Gaza developments. Satellite imagery shows the Israeli military is paving a forward operating base deep inside the Gaza Strip, signaling a possible long-term presence despite recent ceasefire discussions. EU-Morocco partnership talks. The 15th meeting of the EU-Morocco Association Council is holding talks in Brussels on Jan 29 to focus on trade, migration, and regional stability.
Other notable news. Syria-Lebanon border. Reports indicate continued volatility, including alleged attacks on border crossings and clashes in northeast Syria. Weather warning. A Mediterranean cyclone has brought heavy rain and snow to the region, prompting weather warnings for Bulgaria and surrounding areas.
Top trending news today from the African region. Football, AFCON. The Confederation of African Football, CAF, has suspended Senegal coach Pepe Thiaw for 5 matches and fined him $100,000 for unsporting conduct during the recent Africa Cup of Nations final. Niger. Heavy gunfire and explosions erupted near the Diori Hamani International Airport in Niamey early Thursday morning. The area, which houses a military airbase and serves as headquarters for a joint counterterrorism force, saw flames and charred vehicles before calm returned after approximately 2 hours. South Sudan. At least 13 people were killed and 6 injured following a gold mine collapse on Wednesday Southern Africa flooding. The floods have killed over 100 people and displaced more than 300,000, with some areas receiving a year's worth of rain in just 10 days. Eastern Africa drought. Conversely, regions in southern Ethiopia, Somalia, and Kenya continue to face abnormal dryness and severe drought conditions. Somalia. The U.S. government announced it will resume food aid through the World Food Program after the Somali federal government addressed previous disruptions. Rwanda. Tensions remain high as Rwanda seeks roughly $130 million, $165 million from the UK, following the cancellation of a controversial asylum deal. Kenya. National conversation is focused on the Odinga succession contest as family members and political allies navigate the leadership vacuum following the passing of Raila Odinga. Raila Amolo Odinga was a Kenyan politician who served as prime minister from 2008 to 2013.
Other notable news. Influencer news. U.S. YouTube star iShowSpeed has been granted a Ghanaian passport after concluding an extensive 20-country tour of the continent, with Ghanaian officials naming him a worthy ambassador. Thank you for tuning in to Mazz Reporter Radio. If you found this January 29, 2026 breakdown insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with others who want to stay informed. We'll keep bringing you interesting and insightful updates on the stories that are shaping our world.